Hey everybody, it's Dusti Martin with Corcoran Platinum Living. Today I'm going to speak from the listing agent's perspective about the two things that I am seeing buyers agents not do for their buyers. And it's really important because there are so many buyers out there who are making offers on houses and not getting them accepted. So today I'm going to break it down for you from a listing agent's perspective to help you get your offer accepted. So buckle up, let's go. So I've started to shift my business over the last 24 months towards listing more homes, and I still work with a lot of buyers. Don't get me wrong. I'm just starting to take on more and more listings. And one of the things that I've started to see a trend, and so I can see it now from a listing agent's perspective. There were certain questions that I would always, as a buyer's agent, ask the listing agent when I was working with the buyer. One of the first things you need to know is that you need to pick an agent who is a strong negotiator. And sometimes that strong negotiator is simply the person who is willing to ask questions. And that's the thing, is there are so many agents that are afraid to ask questions that they're not asking the two most important questions. So on my last three, I'd say maybe 4 listings, I have had almost 0 agents ask me this question. The first question is, how many offers do you have? Sounds simple, right? I've had them beat around the bush. They'd say, do you have any offers? Well, any offers is different than 9 offers. Any offers could be 1, it could be 2, it could be 5, it could be 8, it could be 13, who knows? But that's one of the questions that I've almost never heard another buyer's agent ask me from the listing perspective. And I know I am fully willing, at least on my side, to disclose that. Now, keep in mind, we can't lie to a buyer's agent if they ask us that. So we can either answer with A, how many offers we do have, or B, if our seller has allowed us to disclose how many offers there are. See what I'm saying? So yes, we have offers, or I can't disclose that. Like, that doesn't tell you how many you're working with. So competing against 1 offer is much easier than it is competing against 9. And you need to know the number of offers in order to gauge how strong your offer needs to be to compete. The second one is, you're going to have to sit down for this, because there's a lot of agents who are probably going to rip me apart and tear me a new one saying, that's not something you should ask, and that's not something you should disclose, and what if it scares off other buyers? Hear me out. In today's market, buyers are desperate, and they need to know what it's going to take to get themselves a roof over their head. So if you don't ask this question, and furthermore, if you don't answer this question, you're going to be losing a lot more money for your seller or losing a house for your buyer. So let's unpack this one. The one you need to be asking, full stop, is, what number are you at, and what does it take to win? What does it take? What does it take to win this listing for my buyers? That is something that I almost never hear an agent say. Now, me, on the other hand, when I've got pregnant buyers who are about to pop and they need a home because their 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,800 square foot place isn't cutting it anymore, and they got a baby that's about to show up, they're going to be a little motivated, right? And on the other side, I've even had sellers come in from out of state with cash, go see a home, and then I call the agent and I ask, what does it take to win? And they won't disclose if they have offers, how many offers, if they're over asking, or how far they're over asking. Because I kid you not, I have literally asked some agents, my client is cash, they can pay well over this list price, what would it take to win? And they wouldn't disclose that. So I went back to my buyer with that, and he said, well, If they can't tell me what it'll take to win, I'm not going to waste my time. And he was off to the next one. Come to find out, that home went pending and then closed at a number probably $100,000 over what my buyer, my cash buyer who could have closed in 15 days, was willing to pay. So keep that in mind. When you come across an agent who is direct enough, that's a good sign. But also, when you are the buyer, you need to have an agent who's direct enough and willing enough to ask those questions, because otherwise you're just shooting in the dark. For example, on my last listing, we had some offers come in that were over $100,000 with an escalation clause over the list price, right? Some of the agents, we sent about half of them, the ones that were well written, could compete, that kind of thing. We countered that number of offers. It was 4 or 5. I don't remember exactly which. The rest we just rejected and told them why. We sent out almost the same multiple counter offer to everybody on the multiple counter offer. Now, they all can't see what my seller had decided to counter each one. We then came back. One of those offers decided to increase their escalation clause about 10 grand, and another offer decided to increase their offer just a little bit by a few $1,000s, which pushed this one up, therefore our escalation clause on this other one. Well, here comes this third party in the 3 or 4 that really had a fighting chance. And after we got under contract and I had kind of let the other agents know, hey, we'd love to consider you as a backup offer. If you have any questions, just let me know. Keep an eye on it. We'll be in touch if this doesn't work out. So about 24, 48 hours goes by and this agent emails me and he says, my client would have been willing to go up to X amount. How come ours wasn't accepted? And so I couldn't tell him at the time, and if he's looking at this now, he's going to know. But I knew that they could not compete with this other offer we had in hand. But I was not going to tell all of them how much higher this one could go, because I wanted that higher offer to be bid up with their escalation clause by the others that I knew could not compete with it. In other words, we were down around, let's say, 800. This winning seller was willing to go to about 860. These others were willing to go to 805, 806, 807. Another one said, well, I would have gone to 825. He shouldn't have told me that, because then if it fell out of escrow, I could come back to him and say, hey, we had an escalation clause up to 860. Would your buyer still pay 825? Or I could have gone back to the 3 that didn't get accepted and said, this is where we're at, take it or leave it. See what I'm saying? So if that other agent had advised his client to actually put on the paper what they really were willing to pay for a home, first of all, he might have been the top 2 instead of the top 3 or 4. But second of all, if this one fell out, he'd been in a great spot, but he would have been none the wiser because he told me what his buyer's number was. He should have asked me what my seller's number was, or what our highest number was. You see what I'm saying there? And so that little difference can really change the trajectory between getting your client's offer accepted or rejected. So if you're not putting on paper where your client is willing to go for a property, then you're kind of doing them a disservice, especially since there's no other way to communicate to the seller how much your client would really pay. Trying to play guessing games when you're negotiating just makes everybody a fool. So you want somebody, whether you're looking on the buy side or the seller side, you want somebody who will be direct and will ask those 2 questions. How many offers do you have, and what does it take to win? Because without knowing the answers to those 2, you're just shooting in the dark, and there's not a good chance that your offer is going to get accepted. If you have any questions about what it'll look like to sell your home, or if you're looking to buy a home and keep striking out, go ahead and give me a call, 480-717-9405, or visit my website at dustimartinrealtor.com.